Welcome to Getting Rich Soon. I am Bridget, your host. Today we're going to be looking at how to build an emergency savings fund. I am Bridget, your host. Today we're going to be looking at how to build an emergency savings fund. Yes, unexpected expenses are part of life, so it is important to have an emergency plan in place. Guys, today we're going to look at how much you need to save for emergencies, different ways to find money for your emergency savings, and how to keep this money separate from our other accounts, right, from our other savings. First thing we're going to look at, what is an emergency savings fund? Some people call it a rainy day fund, others call it cushion. Pretty much an emergency savings fund is money you save and set aside for unexpected financial expenses. So we won't be tempted, right, to dip into our retirement savings or take on debt. You already know my take about debt. I want us to build ourselves out of debt, to prevent ourselves from getting into debt as much as possible. And an emergency savings fund will be your best bet. Why is an emergency savings fund so important, guys? Everyone needs an emergency fund. It doesn't matter how old you are or your income level. You need an emergency savings fund because emergencies cost money and they can last a long time. And some big emergencies so far are car repairs, medical bills, job loss. Man, if you have never lost a job, you should count yourself one of the lucky ones. But I know it hurts and I know it makes people dive into debt. Without emergency savings fund, we are forced to take money out of our 401ks or 403bs by loans, and we know we always get penalized for stuff like this. You're forced to use your credit card in the wrong way. If you haven't watched the credit card video, please go back and watch that. You know I tell you that if you don't have money, you should not be using your credit card. But without an emergency savings fund, when disaster hits, you're forced to use these credit cards in the wrong way. We're forced to resort to things like taking payday loans. I don't know who created these evil things. This is just ways to prevent people from getting rich, right? And all of this impacts our broader financial picture. So please, we need to learn how to create an emergency savings fund and actually work in doing this. How much should you have in your emergency savings fund? Pretty much the main goal is for you to start, right? It doesn't matter how you start, but start small. You can start with $500 to $1,000. That's setting aside, but the main goal is for you to have 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. Pretty much, what are your essential expenses? These are things you cannot do without. Under that essential expenses, we can have housing, we have groceries, we have transportation, we have healthcare, we have childcare, and we also have obviously the evil, which is debt payment. Under housing, what do I want us to look at under housing? Do you have a mortgage? That's an essential expenses. Are you paying rent? That's an essential expenses. If you have a mortgage, property taxes, utilities, those are essential expenses. You're going to have to write that down. For your groceries, we are only looking at groceries for this, like your food items. We're not considering the fact that you have to eat out or take out. No, that's not part of an essential expenses. Transportation, do you have a car loan? Do you lease your car? The insurance, are you paying for parking when you use your car? Maintenance, how much oil changes and stuff. Do you use transportation? Do you commute to work? That will fall under transportation, like your bus fares and stuff like that. That's what you put down. For your health care, do you do things like prescriptions? Are those coming out of pocket? Do you have out of pocket health expenses? You are putting that down as, for example, if you're diabetic, do you have to pay for your diabetic shots and stuff like that? You have to, your insulin and things like that. Are you paying for that or out of pocket? You need to write that down. For childcare, obviously, if you have children and you have to go to work, you can't carry these kids to work, right? How much do you cost for your child care? That's daycare. How much are you paying for that? Are you paying for your tuition? Do they have other expenses that are essential that they cannot live without? Obviously, you're not going to say that, oh, I need to buy them clothes and shoes and put that. No, that's not an essential expense, obviously. And then down to your debt payment. I know some people, when disasters hit, they stop paying their debts, but that's a wrong way to go, because trust me, when you stop paying your debt, interest is accumulating and you're gonna end up paying more money and losing money as you go. The next thing is, how do you find this money for these emergency funds? The best way, the first thing I'm gonna want us to look at is you want to look at where you want to see where your money is going, right? So we're going to be looking at those bank statements. We're going to be looking at those credit card statements. We're going to be looking at even your ATM withdrawals, right? How are you pulling out of money from these places? When you pull them out, what do you use this money for? Next, we're going to review our spending priorities. Yes, what are we spending our money on, right? Because if you don't know what you're spending your money on, that's why I say, if you remember the video also how to make a budget, go check that out on my channel. If you're making a budget, you will see how you spend your money, what you are spending your money on. Is it important? So you go through those things and you check how you spending your money, obviously, right? Is there some things that I can cut back on and pull money out of to be able to save aside for my emergency savings fund? Also, when comparing your spending priorities, you want to look at things like, can I, for example, instead of going into trading my car for a newer one and paying more money, can I keep this car a little bit longer, right? Or for example, instead of trading in my phone to get a newer, brand new phone because I want to look fancy, can I hold on to this phone till it drops dead, right? And those are things that you check your spending priorities and try to adjust so that you can actually pull money and set aside for your emergency savings. Also, when you're looking at your spending priorities, guys, the number one thing I will always advise people to do is make sure you get yourself an accountability partner. Yes, it's important. Do you have a trustworthy friend? Do you have a trustworthy family member that can look at that bank statement with you? Because I know sometimes we get so defensive about our spending. Like somebody would really defend their bad habits even when you're trying to help them. It's like, no, I need to do that. Or like, I needed to have gone out to eat and spend all that money because some people say I need to feed the body that makes the money, right? We always look for all these defensive things to define why we made those bad choices. But if you get yourself an accountability partner that can look at that bank statement and be like, yeah, but also you could still buy food, come home and cook it, and you will save so and so money, and you will still be feeding the body that works the money, right? It's not like, why didn't you look at, rather than going out to spend $40 on steak that you're only gonna eat once, why didn't you take that $40, go buy you some fresh steak, buy you some potatoes, buy you some broccoli or whatever, take it home, and that's gonna, instead of it just being a one-time meal, it can be 3-4 times. I don't know if you have gone out and tried to see how these people sell food. You cannot even eat it twice or 4 times. But if you actually go buy food, those are things that accountability partners do. Right now, I am currently helping people. The first 10, I'm gonna drop my email here. The first 10 people, if you need help with setting up your emergency fund, or in general, if you just need help, me walking you through ways that can help you get back on your feet if you're so deep in debt. One thing I'm gonna warn you is I'm a very realistic person. I will call you out on any bullshit, and I'll call you fast. Like, I know my roommate used to say I'm a Sagittarius and I have a stink ass mouth. But the truth is, when someone brings you to that reality, excuse my French, by the way, when someone brings you to that reality, it's a wake up call for you to get up and get it together, because the main goal is for us to get rich, right? So I'm gonna drop my email. You reach out to me. I can help the first 10 people for now because I'm very busy. Help you get back on your feet. Help you find a way that you can save money so you can get back on your feet, or just look at things in general and find ways to get you to that point of financial freedom. So in creating our emergency fund, how do we go about creating our emergency fund? The number one thing I want you to do is to use what is called automated savings. Yes, you know, the same way you get paid from your employer by having a saving an account, and you do like direct deposit and stuff. I'm gonna want you to create a separate bank account. Take that separate bank account and add it to your employer, right? And just tell the employer, instead of like every month, if you're going to pay me, please, if it's just $50, it doesn't matter how much you're sending into the account. Remember, you just want to always start small. $50, $10, just say send $10 every paycheck, or how much amount to this account, and just leave it there. Make sure that that separate account does not have a debit card, does not have a card that you can easily use or something, because the truth is you want to just leave this money and forget about it, because this money is meant for emergencies only, right? You want to make sure that this account is accessible and liquid. Yes, this account, you're not taking this money and putting it into the stock market or trying to do whatever crazy stuff. No, this is an emergency savings fund. You are just going to set this money aside and you are going to leave it like that. You're not going to touch it. Guys, the main reason for using a separate account is to prevent us from dipping into our own savings, or from taking money. Like, you know, sometimes when you see unnecessary money in your account, you just keep spending it if you haven't been creating a budget, obviously. That's why we are setting an automated account just for this. So for an overview, we looked at how much you need to save for emergencies, right? We said that for you to save on emergencies, you need to save 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. We looked at the different ways to find money to save for your emergencies. We're going to be looking at those bank statements. We're going to be looking at those credit card spendings. We're going to be looking at even our ATM withdrawals. What do we use this money for? Can we adjust it? We're going to look to how to keep this money in separate accounts to prevent ourselves from dipping into our actual savings or from using other expenditures. I'm going to summarize everything on how to build an emergency savings fund. I'm going to use an example for my friend that I helped set her up. I have one of my friends who made roughly around $50,000 before taxes, and she always used to complain like, oh, I can't find money to save anywhere. And I'm just like, you cannot work and eat everything. It's not like she's like, I always have bills, I always have there's no money left at the end. And I was like, is it okay for me to look at your bank statements, to me to look at like how do you spend your money? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So I was going through it. I saw that every month she paid $25 for a gym membership, and I was like, okay, working out is good to maintain your health. But the follow-up question I had for that is there no way to find like a gym membership where it costs like $10? Or she's like, it's so difficult where I live to find a gym membership that costs that cheap. The next follow-up question I had for her was, how many times a month do you go to the gym? And she told me she goes about when she's free, once or twice a month. I was like, you can't be spending $25 a month and you only go to the gym once or twice a month. So the next follow-up question I had was, how much, when you go to the gym once or twice a month, what do you do in the gym? And she said she runs on the treadmill. I was like, no, honey, boo-boo, we are not going to do a gym membership for you. We're going to take this $25 you spend every month and we are going to use it as your cushion fund, your rainy day fund. We're going to channel it down. The once or twice a month you go to the gym, guess what? I want you to run around your block. Yes, just go out and run. It's after all you do on the treadmill is run. So you're just going to go out and run. And we are going to start building an emergency savings for you. And then I looked at it again. I was like, you seem to be eating out a lot, given the fact that you say you don't have any money. And she said, oh, I'm always so busy, I don't have time to cook. So I was like, okay, how can you go about creating time to at least cook a meal, right? Instead of you trying to spend unnecessary money on buying, like, let's say you spend like close to 100 to 150 just eating out. How about you use this $100 to buy yourself some groceries a month and to use to cook? And then we're going to take this $50. You can still find a way to go once or twice to eat something out just to make yourself happy if that makes you happy. But we're going to pull out this $50 from this unnecessary eating out, and we're going to channel it to your emergency fund. So mind you, the $25 plus this $50, which I pulled out, we're at $75. And I was just like, I'm not going to go hard at you right now, since this is just a start, and I see that you're getting very defensive on your bad habits of spending. I call it bad habits, and I call out of it. So we're just like, for now, we're just gonna have you set aside this $75 every month. Mind you guys, $75 a month times 12, that's how much she was setting aside every year, just from someone who said they could not save at all. I did not dive deep into any other things of hers, and I knew that if I kept going deep into those credit card usage and other things, I could have been able to pull aside money. So these are the things you look at when you look at your priorities. And now, trust me, my girlfriend, she's doing great for now. There's a lot of work to be done in her life as well as my life and stuff. But this is how you pretty much work on building your emergency savings fund. Remember, we all need an emergency savings fund, and don't trying to justify your bad habits for not having an emergency fund, because the truth is a disaster will hit. As remember, I always like for us to end with a passage from the Bible, because the word of God pretty much has those hard wisdoms for us. This one hit me hard when I was looking at what word to share with you guys. I looked at Proverbs. We're going to be sharing the word from Proverbs chapter 21 verse 17. It says, indulging in luxuries, wine, and rich food will never make you wealthy. Oh my goodness. You know, sometimes we want to justify the reason why we spend so much money, right? And the Bible is telling us that if we keep indulging in these luxuries, this wine, this rich food, all these fancy things, then we're never going to get wealthy. So if you want to get wealthy, guys, you already know where to adjust your life. And please start by building this emergency savings fund. If you need help, as I said, I'm going to drop my email. The first 10 people, I'll be willing to help them. In anything else, thank you guys for tuning into my channel. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. Thank you. Have a good day.